Welcome to Scythian Dragon Lord's Education Channel. This video is going to be about Scythian and Magyar cultures in the Carpathian Basin, better known as the Hungarian Plain. Now, the Hungarian culture is a continuation of the Scythian culture. Contradictory to the false official version of history, the Hungarians, Magyars, are the ancestral inhabitants of the Carpathian Basin. The theory of the Hungarians arriving from Asia was made up in the 1800s as an attempt to destroy the nation by the tyrannical Habsburg Empire. The language, folklore, customs go hand in hand and prove clearly that its birthplace, as and always was, is the Carpathian Basin, going back as far as tens of thousands of years. The culture was spread out from here and not the other way around. The ancestral inhabitants lived always here, being related to their akin in both Europe and in Asia. And in later times, the customs was to take on self the name of the currently ruling dynasty, serving as a blanket terminology. Let it be Hun, Sarmatians, or Magyars. The name Scythian, that comes from Greek denotions horse archers, yet truly comes from the name of the settlers. All of the ruling dynasties were nothing else but the warlords of their time, the masters of the steppes. The Japanese had the samurai, the Hungarians had the Magyar lords. The Magyars were also known as the Royal Scythians. This is due to the customs of the Holy Crown, part of the ancient people of the Royal Magi are the Magyars. Now, according to Scythian DNA, which is the Hungarian Scythian DNA branch, that's DA 191 through 198, from 753 BC to 369 BC era of the Iron Age Scythians of the Danube. Those are the people that fused in to the local Magyar and Celtic populations. They all spoke the Hungarian language, which is the Old Hungarian, the Old Magyar. Now, many books and research papers already show that the Magyars were living in the Carpathian Basin before King Prince Arpad, the Hungarian Grand Prince, brought back some of the loyal tribes from the east, which included 7 major tribes, but up to 36 different tribes. The 7 major tribes consisted of 100,000 people or so per tribe, and then you had a lot of smaller tribes. But when they came back from Etelkaz, which is that Ukraine area, Etel is also my nickname, Attila. That used to be called Etelkaz. That is where they brought most of the tribes back from, and also from the Caucasian mountains area. Those people that came back, when they got to the Carpathian Basin, they already had close to 1 million people, or 1.5 million Hungarians already living there. Those are part of the old Europeans that never moved out to Asia. Just certain branches around 2000 BC moved out to Asia up north, and then they made their way back to the Carpathian Basin. Now, Michelangelo, Naddeo, he is a Italian doctor that came to Hungary, and he gave us a present. He let us know that the Etruscans actually spoke Hungarian, also used the Hungarian Rovásírás, the Scythian Hun Magyar writing system. According to Michelangelo, this is what he had to say about us. He said, Hungarian is a population that, from its emergence in Old Europe, which is Pannonia, through its migration to Central Asia, Arsi and Pozsarski, and back to arrival in Europe, Sarmatians, Avars, Magyars, maintained its cultural DNA unchanged. The main genes of our culture DNA were matriarchy, democracy, egalitarianism, and peace-loving society. These features make the Hungarians easily recognizable and unconnectable to any other civilization having appeared in history. And this is from Michelangelo Naddeo. They used translators to, help him out because he only speaks American, which, by the way, English, American, and Italian. Now, a couple of things, like the Magyar-Hungarian genetics DNA, the Scythian DNA is also pure European. The Iranian identity was actually made up by academics, and it turns out that everybody just ran with it. These people were European. It shows in the DNA testing, as you can see. When you look at the deep testing, it shows that they have no Asia traits. So these people never even left the Carpathian Basin. Now, according to Professor Ferenc Baldiny, Scythian, in Magyar we say Scytha, often restrictive Greek name of indigenous people of Central Asia, also known as Magyar, Huns, Avars, Celts, Yazig, Kurds, Bactrians, Sarmatians, among others. His definition of Sumerian was Subartu, Szabir, sun-facing people, Scythian, Magyar, Hun. Egyptian records, Arpad's grandson cities, the Greek chronicles where their original name is Szabir Asfali, also known as the land of Sumer. His definition of Magyar as a people and their language, also known as Magyar, Magadi, Magori by the Indians, Scythian by the Greeks, Zu, Hun by Chinese, Hun, Hungarian, Sekli, Sekuli, Avar, Celt in Western Europe, biblical Magog, land of Magog, Gog of Magog. Attila was a Gog. Duke Geza was a Magog as well, and this is why they had to get rid of them. The Magyar-speaking people centered in the Carpathian Basin since at least the early Neolithic Krantz. They bring writing to Sumer in 3000 BC, better known as the Yamdet Nazir, name of the dig site. People and established civilizations in Europe, China, India, Egypt, and the Americas, known as part of the Mayas as well. Now, according to Michelangelo Naddeo's report, the migration out of the Carpathian Basin happened in stages. And, they went down to areas like Anatolia, which today is called Turkey. They also went to the Caucasian Mountains area, out to the Urals, and out to Tarim Basin in China. These were different areas that the Magyar, the Hungarians, known under different names, had areas that they lived in. This might have been part of the Hungarian, what we call headquarters of different Scythian areas, like Volga Hungaria, Magna Hungaria, which included all the way from Magyarország all the way to the other side of Caucasians, the Caucasian Mountains. And then we had areas down, which was the Royal Scythian area, which was called Subartu, which is down by Mesopotamia. And that was the royal area of those Magyars were called the Szabirs. They were also known as the Royal Scythians. They lived over there very close to where the Magi lived over there in Iran. They had their own little area that they lived in until they were ousted from that area. Then they went back to the Carpathian Basin, which the Magi was already in the Carpathian Basin around 7000 BC. And they're the ones that moved the writing system of the old Magyar Hun Scythian writing system, which is called the Rovás-írás. The Magyars are the inventors of writing that came out of the Carpathian Basin around 6 millennium BC. And then writing got passed down from there, went over, used for trade purposes and, other stuff like that. But the writing and the Rovás-írás originally consisted of 23 different symbols. Now, each one of these symbols also refers to different, let's say, like Ishtan or entities or gods or sayings or You know, in certain runes they used for magical purposes and all that, but mainly this was for trade and communication, get people smarter so they can communicate with each other, and then, you know, for trade purposes. Now, the trade network was ran in the old Vinca, old Europe civilization. That was transferred down to Sumer, Mesopotamia area after the Ubaids, which they are from Transylvania as well. They drained Mesopotamia, and that's when the trade network was actually moved down around 4000 BC. But they didn't get writing down Mesopotamia until about 3000 to 2900 BC era. That's called the Proliterate era of Mesopotamia. And from there, they also went out to the Zugorosh Mountains, and from there they went more out towards Bactria, Turkmenistan, and, you know, some of the flags of those areas, you'll see the red, white, and green. They are linked to some Hungarians. We have a lot of people there. They have our DNA. It's the R1A1A branch, you know, what they did is they fused into the local population as well. But see, why DNA doesn't change. So we know they're Hungarians. That's also in the report by Professor Michelangelo Naddeo, which is a really good report. He has a full genetic report that's done on that. But he's got a lot to learn as well, because you know, he's an outsider, but he came from Italy to give us a present. And, you know, he let us know that he's a Hungarian, and that the Etruscans and, you know, those people came from the Hungarian plain. And he also said that they spoke Hungarian. This is the same claim that was done by Mario Arlini. That is also another professor out of Italy. And the interesting part is that both of these people have very, very big ties to the Vatican. So they have some information there that most people don't have. If you're not familiar, the Vatican does have a pretty nice Scythian Magyar altar that is down in one of the sections, and you know, we'll post some pictures of that as well. But that's some pretty cool stuff. Now, the Hungarian culture, it actually predates the Scythian culture. The Hungarian culture has been in the Carpathian Basin for a very, very long time. The Scythian name was just acquired for us by the Greeks when they saw us riding the horses and shooting the bows, as they called us. You know, that's the real definition of a Scythian, is a bow riding horse culture. The difference is that the Magyars adopted every culture that we went through. We adopted the name, but in the old European, we had the Koros Magyars, we had the Yamnaya Magyars, we had the Belbeker Magyars, we had the Susitanian, the Tripilia Magyars, the Badem Magyars, the Scythian Iron Age Magyars, to the Mesocrat pre-Scythian culture Magyars. These are all different Magyars, and we just adopted the name. You know, they'll call us Huns, Sarmatians, you know, whatever. You could call us whatever you want, but they were Magyars. They spoke Magyars. They used the Magyar Rovás Írás, and they always came back to the Carpathian Basin, regardless of what area they controlled or they went there. Now, these people didn't go out there to ravage the place. They didn't go out there to take these places over. If you understand the Magyar Magi, which are the royal Scythians, their job was to go out to these places and create empires so that people can live better. They brought agriculture, writing, and language so these people can communicate and not kill each other. That was the role of the Magyars and the Magis and the you know, the different Scythian clans. You'll see stories about some of these Scythians. They'll talk about, oh, the Aragasi, they were cannibals, so they ate this and that and that. No, these are stories that were made up by the enemies. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I mean, you know, I haven't seen any reports that said they were or anything. They might have used some for different weapons and human skin and animal skin. But they worship 12 different types of animals. We'll get to that. That's a different video. The biggest important thing here is that the Rovás Írás, is the symbol of the Carpathian Basin, and that actually tells you, yes, the Hungarians, the Magyars, they have been there for a very long time. The Asian story that was made up by the Habsburgs, once DNA testing came out, all that was destroyed. Yes, we were in Asia. Yes, we were in China. Yes, we were part of the Zhu dynasty there, but those were just leaders that we had there. They all came back to the Carpathian Basin, and that's where they were buried. That's why we have a lot of that Hungarian conqueror DNA that you see in one of the first reports that was released there by the French. That's, pretty much told you, yes, the Hungarians are the royal Scythians. But the Rovás írás is one of the most important things. And, that shows you that even the Bronze Age Hungarians, they were already writing, and they had advanced agriculture already in old Europe. So all that nomad talk, there has been no nomads in Europe since 7,800 BC. And that we know because according to these studies, if you pay attention to them, you will see that they were already harvesting almost 8 to 10 different types of vegetables. They already had different types of animals. Now, the people from Anatolia around 6 millennium BC, they brought the advanced agriculture, the advanced animals, the different types of goats that they brought, and all that kind of stuff that they didn't have. But, it's interesting to learn, but definitely pay more attention to the Rovás írás. And that went out to all different areas. I placed a chart there so you could see all the different runes. Odin gave his eye for the runes for the people. Where do you think the runes came from? Yes, they're Hungarian runes. They weren't nothing else. But if you ever see anything different on the Rovás, you can always leave a comment, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. Now, one last thing I wanted to talk about in this video is the Hungarian kingdom. It was also known as the Kingdom of the Virgin Mother. The traditions that go back 47,000 years in Europe is a mother goddess cult. It's also that was transferred down to Samaria from the Carpathian Basin. The Virgin Mother Goddess goes far back as a primordial times. Its meaning lays in an astrology and astronomy. The cult of the Virgin Mother Goddess may be found all over the world. In Hungarian traditions, the Hungarian kingdom is under her ruleship. Now, this has been going on for a very long time. When the outsiders came in and brought the new religions, we added their gods so we didn't get killed. Other than that, for 47,000 years, from the Carpathians to the Koros Magyars, all the way up until about the year 1000, when Christianity took over, there has been a mother goddess religion in Europe, and that's what Europe ran on. The people that came in, they brought their new religion. Some of the Hungarians that came back from those different areas that got displaced by different people, they brought different types of religions, but they always still had the one Isten, which is one God, which is the Rovás írás GY. You'll see the double cross. That is also a pagan symbol that was transferred to the Hungarian kings from the royal Magi. It was actually a one class. The Magi were actually a king priest class as well. They not only were just priests, but they will also chop you up. But that was just, for protection, and they were just very versed in stuff like that. Now, the Holy Crown of Hungary, that was always of the highest rank, and it outranked the Papal state, which this is why the Papals wanted to get rid of the Hungarian crown for a long time. It got transferred to different places. But even when the Habsburgs took, and Hungary did the union under the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, and see the Austrians always needed the Hungarians because we had all the connections to all the different locations throughout the world that we already had Hungarians living. And that is why they could never get rid of us. But they tried to, so did France, but England put a stop to that and kept us on the map. But as a people, we'll never go anywhere. It's just a continuation of the Scythian culture. Like I said, the Scythian culture, they fused into the local population. By 400 BC, they were already part of the Magyar Celts that lived there. And this had probably to do with, the empires usually last about 400 years, 500 years, and then they change name. And the Hungarians know this. This is why we never wanted an empire. And they'll just, put a name on us, because if you keep that name, somebody will come and try to take you out or change your name or you know how it goes. You could just look at history and see what has happened to Hungary, since the Treaty of Trianon that was created in 1914 and implemented in 1920. But this should be it for the video. This is just a quick overview of the Hungarian Scythian culture. Thanks for watching. If you got any questions, just hit me up. Thank you.